Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice 8.6. Okay, let's take a quick look at the diplomatic situation here. Okay, we are trying to get Bulgaria in totally access, especially now that we've given them a super big country here. Okay, still a long ways off, but how are we doing with Iran? Getting closer. Still a ways off. Now that will change once we have a closer shared border, or our allies will with them. Okay. So we'll see what we can do there. Oh, good. Enough reinforcements going to our units. Looks like they're desperately attacking us, but I think they're just going to shadow themselves on us. Okay, we give them money from metal. No. Don't know that we can get supplies through here yet. Okay, these guys, you come down here. Let them out. Okay, and we're winning, pushing them out there. And what technology did we get? Okay, AA anti-tank gun ammo. I think part of it we needed was for this. Okay, so we have the medium armor designs and medium velocity gun. We're doing the medium velocity gun. We are waiting on... Oh, we were waiting on this to get that. Okay, well, yeah, we need to be doing this. Okay. And we have, oh, upgrade to 25th Infantry Division. Okay. Again, I hope it's not something in North Africa, currently. No, I don't believe that is. Well, good. Now, because the last several times I've been looking in the production queue, and it's here. Yeah, let's just easier move it to the top. Back off some of that production, but great. Got a few more units coming up now. We can attack into that city. Again, if we take it, fine. I can supply North Africa. I don't mind being the only guy here. Okay, Air Force HQs have advanced. That is most excellent. And we'll stop that. I know it's a nice one to keep going. I think we're still running through, yeah, these are, now I started that, but I'm going to get to shipbuilding. One's completed, and what other decisions? Oh, yeah. Okay, Luftwaffe 5, Hamburg. Now we're really more than just simply... Well, the early ones were just give me some HQs to attach various types to it. And okay, well, let's attach him here. Not quite sure what I want to do with this yet. And a bunch of Flieger cores. Now let's attach it to a nearby Luftwaffe. Well, no, not that. That's those. Can't think of a use for those headquarters in a practical sense, and I don't know. I mean, they're sort of planning offices, if I understand correctly, and as opposed to command structural offices. I'm talking these things for the OKH stuff that's around. You have an army and a navy and an air force, and so they're sort of superfluous. Obviously you can use them as, and here's the one for the no, this is for the Luftwaffe, but you can use them in a practical sense, obviously, but obviously you can pull them away from whoever currently has them, you know, and attach them somewhere else. Also in Berlin, so I don't know what. Just sort of attaching them. Some of the guys I have commanding reduce supply usage. See now here, and I presume he did, but I think he took my... No, it was Gessler. Okay. Yeah, he very likely, because he's a fleet destroyer. May have been sort of the Flieger Corps commander for air operations out over the Atlantic or something, but I don't know. No, the British fleet's in there. It's been beat up pretty bad. Looks like we just won in Alexandria. I did take a look at the code, and via the code, none of these really good events that we've sort of paid for, and I think will have a cost. I was sort of worried, these are from the German graphical augmentation mod. If I start controlling too much, they'd shut down. Some of them will shut down if you don't control, Tripoli and whatever. But as long as, or by the access control, they'll fire. So I'm not afraid to take Egypt, because even if North Africa is done, I want to use a lot of the DAC type units if there's any of them that have. Don't know if they still. Think it's still there, but I don't know if any of them still have the specialized desert units anymore. Those are sort of old things, and it was local improvisation mostly, but they did create specialized tank units. Basically, no, they didn't handily give me a one tank, and they across the top of the tank they just got 5-gallon jerry can after jerry can across the top of the turret. I think they're all fuel, so obviously if they get hit, bullet will go through them, start spilling out fuel on the tank crewmen, and then the next bullet or whatever comes along and skips off of it and ignites it all on fire and gets burny, gets burny, and start burning the people inside. But and it may have been water cans, but I'm not sure. Not necessarily an efficient way to tell the difference, but it's just the idea is to carry fuel, and I would sort of kind of presume once you're getting actually near a combat engagement, you're filling up your actual fuel tanks, taking the extra fuel off the top, whatever hasn't been used up yet, and stashing them somewhere. And then, because you have to have a rack kind of thing made to sort of hold the cans, and then go fight your battle, then go whether recollect your original jerry cans or go collect some other jerry cans to use. And just for the longer movements before battle where you would use up 40 gallons or something on the way to the battlefield, as I presume, because just where they actually had these cans on top of the tanks. So that they did do things like that to the DAC, different units to specifically make them better function in the desert. So I wouldn't want to, again, be able to have players that spam sort of super battalions that fight in the desert super good, but a few of them, yeah, that's good. Okay, naval underway replenishment advance. Great, been waiting for this, because this obviously lots and lots and lots and lots of things. We get longer ranges on, so good. But I think now we are overextended, as in year date, so we're going to stop that, but it'll also help down here. Send additional artillery units to North Africa. Great. See, again, we're paying for them either before or during the events, so I want them. And, oh, wow, that's a lot of artillery units. That's a division of artillery units that we could spread out to other things. That's really good. We'll send them forward. Okay. Oh, that's moving slow. So, I think because of the heavy artillery. That should move faster under strategic deployment there. Because I'm going to continue to use them in Africa, just maybe not North Africa, down into Sub-Saharan Africa eventually. So I am all good with the idea of with continuing to use or wanting to use those guys, and also good with the idea of thinking that they would be continuing to send them, because if you are actively attacking in Africa, they might not have been sending them to Tripoli. They might have been sending them more likely to either Alexandria or somewhere near to the Suez, but either way, that's what would have been happening with them. What are you doing back there? You get going. Well, we're getting close to willing to do trade with you, but not yet, so I don't know that I can get through the Suez just yet. Okay, well. Speaking of that, I think it's best to go after the port first. Okay, Stugs, you go down there. Attack there. Okay, we've lost the 11th Totenkopfstandard, and you are attacking me, and that didn't work out for you. Oh, yeah, no, we want to stop that. Okay. This is, quite honestly, one of the really splinter movements. Not very big. It's of the National Front. Swiss, because we're talking about this. Sorry, Swiss, the National Socialist Schweizerbund. Of the Swiss National Socialist parties, the big one was the National Front. This one was probably the biggest of the small ones. I would, and again, I'm just sort of estimating, kind of, maybe to some degree from the information I have on it that I've been able to find, in the sense of how many badges, people, things. Some of the stuff seems a bit more obscure. And I don't know if anybody has like good numbers, like, oh, how many party members they had, because they probably lied to themselves. Oh, we've got 10,000 party members, when really they had 200. And so who knows what they had, but and that. So now notice this uses the Swiss cross style flag that the National Front does, but it has the swastika, and again, unlike the German swastika, it uses a white swastika. Fit in with this. This is basically one of the groups that was operating out of Germany. See, from his base in Frankfurt. Not sure which Frankfurt. I presume it's the one that's closer to Switzerland than the one on the other side of Germany, but I don't know for sure. From Frankfurt. And so this is why that they use the non-Swiss symbol of the swastika, because they're sort of an externally headquartered unit, if you will. So again, that sort of makes me think it is not very popular. Meaning they don't have huge numbers of people inside of Switzerland. And this is definitely a group that calls for the union of German peoples. So it's obviously one that wants to break up Switzerland. And so there's one thing also with the National Front. I do believe they wanted union of German peoples as well, but they couldn't say that because it would be illegal. It's sort of traitorous or whatever. Yeah, we want to destroy our country. Vote for us. We want to send the people to Parliament that their job is to destroy the country. No, that would sort of be treason, and no. So that's sort of the situation that this is in, is that they are actively calling for the breakup of Switzerland. And at least the German-speaking parts go to Germany. I don't know where the other parts are. Presume the Italians to the Italians, and the French to the French, or maybe just kick the people out and just give it all to the Germans. I don't know. But and this is the best picture of the guy that's leading this, whatever his name is. It's in there somewhere. Bury or whatever. I don't know. Or Chief Ernst Leonhardt. I don't know. Whoever it is. I'm going to read it in better detail. So, and it, again, it might have a lot of popular sentiment within the National Socialist fringe of Switzerland. Again, so I'm, saying of those fringe elements, as opposed to mainstream Swiss thought. Because I want to be clear that we're not characterizing the great bulk of the German-speaking people in Switzerland were pro-Swiss and weren't pro-joining up with Germany. That's my understanding. The great bulk of them. And that means great bulk, I don't know, let's just say at least 60%, I would say. Now, that other 40%, I would say at least 10% to 20% was for joining Nazi Germany. And that really started to fade once it became more and more apparent that Nazi Germany wasn't going to win. Because they weren't, as fooled by Hitler's propaganda as the Germans were. But so, as Germany's starting to lose, it's not quite as a popular idea. But, so that there was a 10 or 20% of German-speaking people, I would estimate. And that's just, again, a guesstimation from things. Again, I don't think anybody ever did any really good polling. And it's just sort of saying that, they got the National Front got one member into Parliament. It wasn't a huge Parliament, so that's, I think it's like 30 or 40 people or something. I may be wrong, but I think it's like 40 people or something. So it's, and that's actually, they won a majority in one of the seats. So that, so that's a lot of people. So, and so presumably in other seats that they may have come in second, or maybe they come in a very distant 10th with the, in a German-speaking region. I don't know, but so I figured that there's a considerable does not mean majority again, support for the Nazis in Switzerland. But this is one of the more blatant groups, or more honest groups. So yes, we're going to support them because it's almost nothing, and this is that we can decide not to, but we'll just do that. And this is something I came across Voiture. And this is an ad display from it, but it is this is Bevo. I can't really read up there well enough. It's the no, it doesn't say it, but of the BEVO, sort of the initials, the VO part of Bevo, the badge makers. You know, I earlier had an event that showed the sort of the factory and a display of a bunch of the Nazi sewn badges, you know, cloth badges maker. They also made women's underwear, and so I just thought I would throw that in, and they used the same sort of beaver symbol there, and wanted to show this sort of a display card from inside of a store kind of thing. And so for the event is do we want to continue to support basically women's lingerie, or really more accurately clothing for women, you know, of various types, not just lingerie, but if I had a regular dress card, you know, I don't know, a dressmaker, I would have done that, but I thought that's what I found, so that's interesting. So we could do that, spend, what is it, 5,500 supplies for female clothing, or not, and lose popularity. So we can see right now, I think we are at just high popularity. So we're going to say yes, spend the supplies to improve popularity. Just to give you an idea of what's going on in Germany at this time. Upgrade the SS Reich division. Okay. We want to do this. I'm not doing anything with this division at the moment. I just don't send the SS divisions to North Africa, mostly because they didn't go there historically. And I've got enough other good divisions. I mean, you know, if I was losing the war or something, I would send them off, but I'm not. So we have this sort of super SS division. Got a headquarters here that gets Hausa as a battle commander and some reconnaissance and artillery support, and then the sort of division proper itself with Bittridge in charge. So we are going down the road and improving that. Let's see them out here. Okay, so we have, yeah, we want to take the port, so we'll just support the attack because we don't want to completely abandon this position to be cutting off. Come up here, you attack, and here, go around the Dead Sea, trying to link up there. I can supply, if we're starting to run low on supplies, I can send in supplies, but he's reorganizing a bit. And we're still winning here, but we're going to get reinforcements there. And we're continuing to push into Alexandria. Okay, again, that's a Pavlovian response. I just see a thing and I click go to. Okay, let's see if we can bomb ground attack. Yes, that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, they got some anti-aircraft guns and things there. But... okay, good. So we won there. So we're going to immediately attack there. So there, which will connect this up. They're already cut off by us being down here. We can come down that way. Oh good, one Alexandria again, and we did take this province, so we take over the front here, that'll be fine, give Italy a chance to do something else. Did they ever get that Malta thing? Yes, they did. I know quite some time ago they were invading Malta. Great. Destroyer escort role has advanced. That is good. We'll probably just stop that now. So we still need to do more, but I want to balance that out. Well, let's see if we can race into Cairo. Okay, you attack. Okay, well, yeah, that's... No, you just get across the river. We continue to overrun those guys, because these guys are probably about ready to exhaust themselves. And yes, we've got Alexandria, and we have created a German front here that I presume we will very quickly start supplying. That's just what I didn't want to do back there, is to not be able to send in supplies. Okay, reorganize the air defense of the Reich. The failure of Luftwaffe to protect Berlin from a series of small-scale raids made by the RAF Bomber Command during the Battle of Britain led to construction of more solid air defense programs. Reich Marshal Hermann Goering ordered General Lieutenant Herbert Weiss, who commanded the 1st Flieger Corps, with distinction during the Battle of France, to form Luftgau Commando. Okay, a Gau is, as you probably know, is a region, political region used during Nazi Germany. It has an earlier origin, I understand, but that's basically that. Commando 3, so I presume that's referring to Berlin, but maybe someplace else. On 27 September 1940, so this is happening a bit late, okay. Maybe not, we'll continue reading. This command was originally meant to protect Berlin, but grew to encompass all air defenses as far south as Dresden. Weiss formed Luftwaffe, but I wish somebody would pronounce this. And there is sort of a thing on Google to pronounce it, but I don't know how to hear it. But this command, Schaber. MIT. I got MIT, middle. I understand that. Air Force Command Center on the 24th of March. Okay, so that's why it's happening on the 24th of March. 1941, Weiss also created the 12th Flieger Corps under the command of General Joseph Kamhuber to combat the night operations of Bomber Command. However, the defense of southern Germany was given to Hugel Sparrow's Luftflotte 3. This caused coordination problems as the two forces were competing. Erhard Milch urged Goering to unite the fighter forces under one command, as had been done in the case of the RAF fighter command in Britain during the Battle of Britain. Goering refused until Luftwaffe 3 was practically destroyed in the Normandy campaign in August 1940. The home defenses remained split between the rival commanders. So this is definitely something that is a Nazi trait, very much I think a Hitler Nazi trait, is the inability to centralize authority. Now you might think, totalitarian state, centralized authority, that's what they do. No. And I don't know how, because I know less than half the people are American. And obviously a lot of people are young. And I don't know how many of the young have watched the original Star Trek. And I don't know how many of the non-Americans have watched the original Star Trek. But the original Star Trek series, with William Shatner as Kirk and whatnot. I'm talking about the old TV series. was very influential in America, at least. And one of their episodes dealt with not Nazi Germany so much as a person from Earth. They constantly run into human-type cultures and very, 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 very human-looking people on other planets. Never quite explained why so many, not just people with green skin in other planets, but people that were looking 100% human were all over the galaxy that supposedly developed locally. Never explained that too well. But that they ran into this, one of the scientists or whatever, examiners went out to the society and sort of saw that the society was bad, so he sort of created Nazism in this society. Now, without, he put it originally, without the hatred of somebody else. It was just, the way he put it is to organize this chaotic society. And one of the statements in the thing is the best organized society in known to man, or whatever that was. And this is sort of the myth that the Nazis had, that they were some sort of super organized group, that they had some great centralized authority. And I know a few episodes ago sort of bashed the Germans, including my German viewers, as being over-organized or over-detail oriented, or adding a lot of extra complications to things. And I still sort of stand by it as an overall thing. If you look at most German engineering, it's sort of really very, very well executed, very, very well designed, but in my opinion, and often, most often, not always, but most often, works very, very well, but is overdone. It's overly complicated. You know, it has 10 moving parts instead of 4 moving parts. Now, the 10 moving parts move beautifully together and do work really well. And again, I'm generalizing, and, you know, I still believe in general stereotypes that are generally true. That doesn't mean they're always true, and that doesn't mean, sort of modern political culture political correctness is, you can't generalize, you can't stereotype. Well, yeah, you can. Now, you can take this as what I'm saying is a bad thing, or you can take it as a good thing. You know, as a badge of shame or a badge of honor, or just, hey, it's the way the world is. Deal with it. So I generally see the Germans as over detail organization kind of thing, and I stand by that, at least compared to my sort of loose, sloppy California view. Now, of course, you may think, you Germans out there, and I know you're out there, may think you're the normal standard, and we're just all a bunch of chaotic, don't care enough, don't do the proper job to get the thing done well and right. Okay, that's your view, and you're welcome to it. You can have your view of us too. It is not I hate you because you're over organized. It's just an observation. So now that is how people in America during the war, because I've watched movies made in America during the war about the Nazis, made post-war, and the original Star Trek was made in the late 60s, 67, 68, I think, mostly. It was made back then. This is sort of the view that we have of them. What is it? The 5 Keys, or whatever it's called. It's a movie about North Africa and Rommel. And they make out that Rommel has a secret plan to win in North Africa, and not just that he has a spy there, but there is a spy in the movie, but that he had come down before the war, and without giving too much of the movie away, I know it was made back during World War II, like 42 or 43, so I could spoil it for you, but if you want to watch it, as a movie, it's sort of good, but it's very unhistorical. So don't take it as any sort of history thing. Is that the basic plot is that Rommel, in the peacetime, had come down to Africa and hidden huge supply dumps in Egypt, unknown to the British authorities, and that's why he's so good, because they were so forward thinking. No, as the events here are showing, they were sort of doing this, as needed, quickly rushing troops down, not a wholly formed division. They're sending down a battalion of this, a company of that, and then forming up these divisions, that we're seeing right here. So that's, the reality. And just to say it, Rommel and his German troops were just good. They didn't have special magic, didn't have special hidden dumps. They were just good. Is why they did as well as they did. So, but this is sort of the impression that people have of National Socialist Germany. But Hitler constantly is setting up or allowing to happen, or however you want to say it, conflicting power structures. I know I've talked about this before, often overlapping power structures that are competing for things. Now, sometimes will declare a winner in a fashion or another, and transfer the duties over to the one organization that he sees as being successful. But they're constantly having this sort of conflict in their system. I earlier, don't know if I mentioned it here, but so they're, it's never a really clean-cut thing. And when they do try to do it that way, and would have taught them, but they never did learn, is if they do actually central organization, they start booming with production facilities, and that's Albert Speer. That's really what Albert Speer is. Albert, the Americans, they had centralized war planning much, much, much better than the Germans ever did. And this is Americans who, hey, free market capitalism, do what you want. Yeah, well, once we got into the war, we centralized planned it, and it was ruthlessly done. Now, you could probably find some of this BS going on of competitiveness, but at least from my understanding, it was much more centralized, much more efficiently done. So you get Speer who's trying to do it, and like Speer is, once Guderian becomes Inspector General of the Panzer Corps, the Panzers. And that includes, if I remember correctly, overseeing the training commands, the schools that we've seen before in the event, and other things like that, but as well as trying to simplify the number and types of tanks being produced. And Speer works, and that in the production sense, very much with Guderian, and to try to do it well. And so Hitler gave this command, that Guderian was in charge of, the armament, tank, panzer production. Well, he wanted to cancel some of the heavy panzer development projects, and whoever it was, and I forget, and maybe it was even Ferdinand Porsche or somebody. Oh, but that doesn't include heavy panzers. It didn't say heavy panzers. It just said panzers. And this sort of goes up to the chain of command to Hitler. No, you can continue with your heavy panzers. They're not under Guderian's authority, and basically because I think this may be Hitler wanting to do his competing power centers, but also I think Hitler's just big into big weapons. So heavy panzers are cool to him. So he wants these big super panzers. I think that's as much as anything else. But because if it was light panzers, he probably would have just, no, it's Guderian's thing. He's running it. I think it's that. But it still has the same sort of look and feel of this competitive thing. But it's also, I think, an element of it, not entirely, but an element of, if you will, the way Nazi power is based in power centers, and it wasn't as stable as you might think. So that different people have different political as well as military powers. And so Sperl, who has certain influence, I don't know that Goering was, not that he couldn't have squashed him like a bug if he really wanted it to, but I think that would have upset certain Nazi power structures, and he didn't want to rock the boat. And see, this I also think because, I'm talking about the Gaus and the Gauleiters, and I think this goes to all these different elements within Nazi Germany that are all sort of power balanced. So I think it's a combination of Hitler's view of wanting conflicting organizations and conflict or competition makes things better. And so I think it all comes into that is why Goering just didn't organize fighter command and do it, or organized a clear established sub-commander, whether it's this Wise or somebody to command both Sparrow and Canhuber and whoever, and so that they allow this stuff. So this is sort of, Nazi Germany was a very inefficient organization to run a country, because we get back to your talking about production and supply. Sure, all of the panzers that the Waffen-SS used were made in the same factories as the army, so they just got whatever the army was having produced. But the SS, because it's outside of just the Waffen-SS, had its own production facilities. And they produced their own rockets, so they had a different rocket system. I'm not talking about the V1 and V2. I'm talking about the rockets that are these guys, regimental rocket artillery. They had a different rocket system than the army, and they had them produced in their own SS-owned armaments factories. And they also had other armaments factories that were just then. And then as time goes on, they're starting to take over control of the the V1 and V2 production. So, and all that is outside of the army's control, and outside of outside of Speer's control. He can't rein in that the Waffen-SS are making different rockets and they use a different rocket launcher system. So if a Waffen-SS division runs out of its rockets, they've got to have special ones sent out to the front, and not just whatever's in the local depot for the army. So it adds to that whole complicated system. The Waffen-SS's argument would be, hey, our rockets are cheaper and are just about as effective as killing the enemy as the more expensive, better designed, remember that German over-design? Because basically the Waffen-SS more or less copied the style of the Russian rockets, the Howling Cows, well, or whatever you want to call it, the Stalin-Organ type, I guess that's what I'm looking for, the Stalin-Organ type rocket systems, similar to what the Americans use, but they more closely copy the Russian ones, and they're much cheaper to produce and on the battlefield just about as effective. The German Standard Army ones are more costly, a little more accurate, but rockets, the way they were used both by the army, by the Germans and by the Soviets, they're used as area effect weapons, so they're not looking for accuracy of artillery. They're just generally. So the Germans' army had overbuilt rockets that were more expensive. The Waffen-SS, we can do it cheaper, but as you can see, the idea of having to send special rockets out to each Waffen-SS division that had rockets gets cumbersome. So, but Speer, because that was under Himmler's power control, Speer could never deny them the delivery of raw materials. Obviously, the SS had its own labor source, so it didn't rely upon allocations of labor under Speer's. We've talked about guest labor, German labor versus slave labor. The SS had its slave labor to some degree or another unlimited, because it could just go round up Poles or Ukrainians or whoever it felt like, really, and if it needed more labor. So it had an unlimited labor source. So it didn't depend on the outside for labor. It couldn't be denied the rare materials, and basically it had enough pull to get the rockets as well as other weapon systems onto the trains that are moving east or west or wherever. We've got to get this delivery. So you take off whatever space off of that freight car to fit in our supplies that are needed for our units. You better do that, as the SS, whether he's a Waffen-SS or just some other SS officers at the rail yard, saying that this train that's going out there is going to be carrying some of our stuff, and not, maybe it's just removing army rockets, so it's sort of a wash, but probably not. So other things get delayed. So that's part of this conflict that we see throughout, up and down, throughout the period of Nazi Germany's inefficiency and waste of production. This is one of the reasons I am fascinated with Nazi Germany and World War II in Germany is I think Germany was so close to winning, and they just did enough wrong. And Thank God they did enough wrong, but they did enough wrong to lose. The reason I'm sort of not fascinated by, say, America is we already know how America won. You know, we can just examine it. They won. Could they have won in a different way? Absolutely. But we already know how they won. So I sort of have always examined World War II and Germany, if you will, is what could they have done different that's still within, you know, the realm of possibility. Maybe not within the normal realm of the way the German mind was thinking, but within the realm of possibility to have been able to win because they came so close. So that's that lecture on this. So we are going to reorganize we can do no need, but I believe this because I've scanned through some of the images. This will lead to building of flak towers and other things. You could say we don't need it, we might not, but I just sort of want to experience it. This is why I'm playing this, so we'll go with this. And now, let's see, did that put something in my production thing? Oh. Okay. Nope. Okay, so it may have just loaded buildings, but I don't think so. Let's see. Okay. So we have Weiss here. Let's give him a raise. I think that's it, so we'll search because oh shoot. We're gonna try it by name. Let's go down to Weiss, wherever he is down here. Yes, just so he's no longer red. That's the reason he was red. And so we're going to he's in Berlin. So I've overstaffed or over-attached things to the Luftfloat here. So Luftfloat color, that's filled up. Okay. He's in Berlin. Let's leave him attached there. So, but let's go back up here and attach him to this. So maybe they should be more attached to. These guys need to go out. More armies, more armies. Ah, these guys. This is probably where I should attach most of these. That's Cam Huber's forward fleet corps. Okay, good. Recycled detachment. And so let's might as well attach him to MIT for the middle for the time being. Okay, well that's a little better structurally organized. But as you can see and probably have noted already, here we already have a similar sort of centralized command. Oh, you're not operating. Oh, you were damaged. Yeah, get back to operating. There strikes. That's good. I think you'll operate. Okay, and yes, gasoline engines for tanks. Here, stop. Okay. Armored cars, assault guns. So, medium velocity gun we're researching. We are doing this to get to this. So I think it's down there sort of to the bottom there. That's the last thing we need to research. Be able to get to high velocity guns, and we want to do that because that will make a lot of our various tank types, and assault guns, and anti-tank guns. Let's do this. Much more effective, especially getting against things like T-34s and KV-1s that I think will be facing units that have high values of that. Okay. Yes, they're trying to get back. I don't think they are, though. I think we've more or less won here in North Africa. Okay, here we're going to strike into there, I think. Disrupt these guys moving north. Okay, good. We've got back high popularity. That's very good. Okay, now wanted to talk about this, the Gewehr 41W. Again, I like the way I've done the pictures. The Walther Gewehr 41 rifle, also known as the G41. That's a typo. It should be G41W. Okay, so I'm identifying a typo. Was developed to fulfill the requirements for the new semi-automatic rifle issued by the Heereswaffen. These requirements, maybe just copied it, but no, down below it changes. Requirements had some specific points that severely impacted the guns. We've read all that. Okay, interestingly enough, here's where it changes, because that's probably the rest, some of that maybe just copy and paste. No, this is Walther. Okay, I don't know. Interestingly enough, the Walther's engineers ignored parts of these, parts of these requirements. In particular, they used reciprocating bolt handles. That would be this, that moves when it fires. And partially uncovered the bolt group, instead of having it fully shrouded. In the spring of 1941, the Walther factory received the official contract for 5,000 Gewehr 41 rifles for field trials. They still had, I do believe, a different sort of shroud on the end to bring the gas out without actually tapping the rifle bore. So this is, and so these basically, 5,000 of each, the Walther and the Mauser went out to the field and were used, and to the best of my knowledge, used to the end of the war. They were both functional, they both worked, but they had their problems, like we talked about. So, and they were, especially the Mauser was sort of hard to manufacture, or added some additional complexity to the manufacture. So, again, we're going to throw a little bit of supply at small arms. Okay, the Deutsches Theater. The Deutsches Theater was a German language theater in Oslo during the German occupation of Norway. It was established January 1, 1941, following an order from Joseph Terboven. He's the German overseer of Norway, if you don't remember, or didn't pay attention in the earlier episodes. The first performance was held on 22nd April 1941 at the National Theater. Okay, so this is from the D-Worms mod, and I think the D-Worm has done an excellent job, I would say, and this is just, I want to say, he's done an excellent job of making an expressive event image, and he uses several of these things like this for when he doesn't have, or what, and I don't know that it would have been practical to but it's also time consuming, as you will well know, to make an image that is specifically accurate to the event. You know, obviously you've seen that I've had pictures of Joseph Terboven. I don't know if it's easy to find on the web or whatever, like a photo of the National Theater or anything like that. But he's done a good job to make these really nice events pictures that bring it alive without, and he does research and does do some good images with the people. And he does a really nice style that he'll cut the person out of the background and put it on this generic German background. He does that really well. Sort of a different style than I do, but it's really, really nicely done. And okay, so basically we can choose to create it, and then we have various percent chance of different popularities. It looks like most or all of them will be beneficial. Just how beneficial. And this is what I also like about some of this stuff, the way he's done it. Again, he's German, so he over-designs things, but it works well. It's not a criticism, it's just an observation, since we're in this. And so instead of like knowing, oh, you're going to get X back for this, you go, how much will we get back? How much won't we get back? A little bit, a lot. And so, because things are uncertain in reality, so he's keeping that uncertainty here. So I like that. So we're going to pick that. Cool. Well done. I like it. And of course we have more research that we can now do because we have higher popularity. Basically, researchers like us better. We'll wait on that. We're not defending the Atlantic Wall or anything right now. Asymmetric warfare. Forest line defense. Machine. Yeah, we'll do that. Do we have even more? Okay. I'll take more. I figured it would be just one. Okay, another 16th of a point. Let's do road network. We can get that done and through the system before going to war with the Soviet Union next year. That would be really helpful. Yeah, they're just hitting us and exhausting themselves. And we won that battle, and we grabbed here, and let's support that attack that we may have been exhausting ourselves here against these guys. Now we come in with a second division, we're chewing them up. Here we're chewing them up as well. Not that they're not resisting, they are. Support that attack. Here, artillery unit command and control. Great. Well, again, I want to look around here. What is the other? Okay, I was getting this back that it was desert unit. We'll let the desert unit continue, and that'll probably flip over soon, though that started a bit later. Let's look for, like, Schwerpunkt. Doctrinal development. Okay, support that attack. Oh no, attack there, because the other's just been defending. Okay. Oh, where are you going? No. Okay, yeah, you... Attack across over there. Okay, Italy's going home with its army. Fine, go ahead. Be that way. Okay, prepare police forces for Barbarossa. Each of Germany's army groups, security formations were set up. To each army group, a higher SS and police Führer alongside order police regiments were assigned to provide rear area security. Well, that would be useful. So yes, little early for our plans, but would be useful. So these guys here, okay. Yeah, we'll deal with that in a bit. How are we doing for... Okay, we got a bunch of revolts. So, let's... I think originally I was thinking of France, but we've got a bunch of nobody here in charge. It's not really worth it. And I don't have enough War Pro to do it for just immersion purposes. Now, let's put him here. Whatever sort of crossing paths. We'll put him here. There we go. We give them fuel for money. Sure, you can have fuel. Okay, that force looks like it's going well. So attack into there before they get too organized or whatnot, dug in, entrenched. Okay, close air support prototypes have advanced. That's nice. And it's grayed out. A lot to do here in 41, but let's look around. Well, depth charges would be nice. That helps on convoy escorting efficiency and things, so we'll do that. Because we are going to be having more and more convoys soon. Oh, I don't... God damn, I hate how close that is. Because I've done that before, and I don't want to do that to AI control. Okay, well, you attack that battle group, because these guys have been defending forever here against your New Zealander super battle group, but and they've been doing well, but okay, we're doing well there. Yeah, you attack there. You attack. No, you. Well, let's shift. We're gonna have fewer and fewer ships to... Let's shift these bombers to here. There we go. I think these... Okay. These guys lost all order. Yeah, they're getting some organization back. Okay, mid-air refueling aircraft prototype. We did this. I've read a little bit more that they have done a little more experimentation than I thought, but it's just a little bit more. Well, since we won there, let's move you to ground attacking there. Yeah, we're across the river there. Okay, but you come up to here. You attack the headquarters unit there. And you attack that right there. See, that's the last port I think they can like get supply from is here. Because I think there's a barrier that the Italians have run into the barrier down here. So we're going to cut off all of their supply options. Okay. The rise of more flak units to protect industrial centers. The Luftwaffe lacked an effective air defense system early in the war. Allied daylight actions over German-controlled territory were sparse in 39-40, and the responsibility for defense of the German airspace fell to Luftgau Commando Air District commands. The defense systems relied mostly on anti-aircraft artillery. The defenses were coordinated and coordinating and communicated poorly, I guess it'd be. The lack of understanding between the flak and flying branches would plague the Reich air defenses, although throughout the war. Adolf Hitler in particular wanted defenses to rest on anti-aircraft artillery as it gave the civilian population a psychological crutch, no matter how ineffective the weapons. And he's true about that. He's correct about that. That was something the British noticed too. Nevertheless, a large share of the German armament effort was invested in anti-aircraft artillery stations. Okay, so here we go. This would 1% of ICs until June. Okay, that's not too bad. I mean, it's a lot of ICs, but we may get more towers and more things. We'll get these, even though it says lose, I'm sure they'll all be gains. The metal, we can afford it. Manpower, yeah, we can afford it, sort of. Supplies, well, we can't really at the moment, but that's sort of a falsely low number. But even though, what we'll do here is, because it's going to hit us, so let's pump it up a bunch. So we'll do this. Part of the reason I'm doing it is for gameplay, and part of the reason I'm doing it is for just to see what the events are and to show you. And I want to learn too. And I did mention this in an earlier episode not too long ago. I don't know if this is the best here, but if you get to, I think it's 3 levels of air defense or something, the AI will stop bombing that province. Even if it could effectively bomb the province in the sense that just take some disruption and do a lot of damage, it just naturally stops bombing. Notice most of these, well, there's Vienna, Munich, all the way up to Oslo and Kiel. Okay, well, great, we're going to take that. So, you know, I've not like specifically read a book on the German flak defenses, so I'm learning things. Again, you may sound, but I'm just telling you what's going on. Well, yeah, I'm taking what I'm reading there and applying it to other known parts of history that I know well, and how things worked. Okay, you can head back to the, well, I guess to the fort. You can head there. And you who are almost there could then head to there. Yes. Okay, so you guys attack across the river with those stugs. You should be able to do that well enough. Support that attack. Okay, well, we've lost our very high popularity again. Fuselage aerodynamics advance. That's nice. So, well, since we've lost our high popularity, we'll just cancel that. An air order placed. So, Finland. Okay, well, help Finland out. Nice to have. Oh, I think this may be what I've been waiting for here. Yes, old French artillery. I think so. We'll see. Oh, that's these guys here. Okay, well, no, a bunch of stuff. I'll just select one of these. Okay, so, well, maybe not everything I was waiting for. Thought there was another, but okay. Some heavy artillery to help garrison some places. Nothing new there. Okay, SS mechanized infantry. Yes, we want that. Okay, BH Rekhu? HG 102, the Rear Army Command 102 formed on March 15th to start general. Okay, so this is another occupation force, and I think for the east. It said MIT, so Army Group Center. Okay, and the German half-track contractors used to tow anti-tank and field artillery pieces. Well, why the hell are they having a MOAG in the middle of that then? That's the half-track there. Were also used by mechanical engineers to retrieve bogged down vehicles or perform repairs, such as featured in World War II half-tracks, these so-called overtabbed and interleaved drove wheels arrangement. That's the interleaved road wheels I was talking about on the Tiger a few episodes ago. Okay, I don't know how you want it. SD KFZ9, which was the 9-ton, which was the big heavy one, and the Kettenkrad. That was sort of a motorcycle-like one that basically had a motorcycle front end. I don't know why whoever made this is using this image here. This is a MOAG system now. I think the basic drive, the engine and the track is the same for a certain weight category of them. But what they're talking about are the again, they go from the really small Kettenkrad, which is sort of a motorcycle version, up to a huge one, and sort of intermediate is sort of almost a, I want to say, bathtub type arrangement in the center. It's sort of low slung in the center. They get bigger and bigger and bigger. But on the sort of medium and large ones, they're the ones that have the sort of doors cut out on the side. You may have seen that are entry and exit sort of side doors. They might look armored, but they're just the metal like you would have of a regular civilian truck, sides and whatever, that sort of, the type that has the canvas cover that can come over the top. That's what they're talking about, and to that they would use to get the stuck tanks out, or to tow the again, what you commonly see to tow the Flak 88 guns. Well, we've talked enough, played enough, got too long of a game, had a lot of fun, at least I did. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking the videos. I do appreciate it if you would. And of course, please post questions, comments, suggestions, ideas. I love hearing from you. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.